Good morning, students. This is your English teacher welcoming you back to our English class. Students, before I come to the topic, I would like to ask you a very simple question. Have you all seen a squirrel in your garden? Yes, I know that you all might have seen a squirrel in your surrounding. This is a very lovely, intelligent, and fast moving animal. So, students, let's watch a video on this animal. Students, these are the new words in the poem. Wore. Wore means this is the past tense of wear. Overcoat. Overcoat means a long warm coat. Tease. A person or animal who makes fun of someone in a playful way. Let's read the summary of the poem. The poet describes how the squirrel, covered in grey fur, sits in an upright position on a tree branch eating a nut. His tail looks like a question mark because of its bent shape. The poet tells us about the nature of the squirrel, that it is innocently naughty and likes to tease anyone who comes near him. So it was a lovely video, students. I hope you all might have enjoyed it. In this video, we could see this lovely animal with grey fur on its body. It has big eyes with twisted and bushy tail, and it moves very fast. So students, today we are going to read a very beautiful poem written by Mildred Armstrong, and the name of the poem is The Squirrel. Let's come to know more about this poet. Mildred Bors was born in the year 1901 and she died in the year 1984. She earned her bachelor's degree from Northwestern University in the year 1923. She also studied at Mount Holyoke College, the University of Chicago, and the University of Wisconsin. Bors titled her first volume of poetry Twist o' Smoke, and this Twist o' Smoke won the 1928 Yale Younger Poets Prize and was published by Yale University Press. So this was all about the poet. Now let's read the poem. He wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He liked to tease and play. And if he ran around his tree, he went the other way. I will read this poem again. He wore a question mark for tail, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. He liked to tease and play. And if he ran around his trees, he went the other way. So, in this, the poet has described the appearance and the behavior of a squirrel. So, let's see. He wore a question mark for tail. What does this mean? This means we can see that a shape of a squirrel's tail is just like a question mark. So, here the poet is describing the tail of the squirrel. So that's why it is written that he wore a question mark for tail. An overcoat of grey. An overcoat of grey means if we look into a squirrel's back, we can see stripes on it, and it seems like it is wearing a coat which is grey in color. If you see the body of the squirrel, it has grey fur on its body, and that's why the poet has described it as an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. So if you see the position of the squirrel while eating nuts, he used to sit straight and it loves to eat the nuts. He liked to tease and play. The squirrel is a very friendly animal. It sometimes teases us. If we try to go near, it acts like it is playing with us. And if we ran around his tree, he went the other way. So, here the poet is saying that if we run to catch a squirrel, it is very difficult. It runs very fast and keeps on teasing us. So, students, what do you mean by teasing? Teasing means when a person or an animal makes fun of someone in a playful way. So here, if you see, the squirrel is teasing the poet and his friends. So that's why the poet is trying to say that whenever they go to catch a squirrel or whenever they want to go near to the squirrel, it becomes very difficult to catch it. It runs very fast and it moves the other way in order to tease them. So students, this was all about the summary of the poem. So you can do one thing. Note down these new words in your notebook, and in order to enhance your vocabulary, try to frame sentences with these words. Now come to working with the poem. In this, there are few question and answers along. So you have to note down these question and answers in your notebook. You can pause the video and note it down. So let's start discussing. Why does the poet say the squirrel wore a question mark for tail? So here, why is it said in the poem that the squirrel wore a question mark for tail? Does the squirrel wear a question mark? No. Actually here the poet is describing the shape of the tail. So the poet says so because the bushy tail of a squirrel is twisted at its back, which appears like a question mark. So the twisted bushy tail of the squirrel appears like a question mark. So that's why the poet has said that he wore a question mark for tail. Now come to the second question. Do we usually say that an animal wears a tail? What do we say? Students, do we say that an animal wears a tail? No. Usually we do not say that an animal wears a tail. So what do we say? We usually say that an animal has a tail. Now come to the third question. He liked to tease and play. Who is teasing whom? How? So here He liked to tease and play. So he here means the squirrel. So the squirrel is teasing the poet and his friends. So how the squirrel is teasing? When the poet and his friends ran around the tree on which the squirrel is sitting, it went the other way, teasing and playing with them. So here the poet want to say that when they were going near the squirrel, at that time the squirrel used to move the other way. So in this way the squirrel was teasing the poet and his friends. So students, in this poem, the poet has described about this tree-dwelling rodent which looks lovely. The poet has shared her experience with us. She has keenly observed the squirrel and described its appearance and behavior in the form of a beautiful poem, The Squirrel. Thank you.